addressing anger and frustration. So much of this comes from feeling helpless in the face of what seems to be impossible circumstances. It comes from facing boundaries that appear to funnel life in the direction that doesn't align with your heart's desire. The evolutionary flow of the universe goes in waves, or we could say cycles of expansion and contraction. Sometimes what is good in life is expanding. At other times, life contracts to jettison that which is not valuable for evolution. When purification or contraction is dominating, sometimes the things that seem valuable are thrown out along with the inappropriate. Anytime something precious is lost, this indicates that its presence in your world was not stable. Its closeness to the stresses made it vulnerable. The forms of creation that best carry divine intention into this world will either survive or they will return, renewed and expanded. The universe is maintained from a level of organizing power that is vast compared to our individual choices and decisions. Trusting in the inherent goodness of the divine source supports the ability to lean into the purification process without fear or becoming overwhelmed by the losses associated with that process. Only superficial forms leave a person's life. Where do these forms go? They return to the home of bliss. They aren't lost to the creation. They are only lost in our world temporarily, or they change form so much that they are unrecognizable. Either way, life is ultimately preserved in its highest value. The best way to align with nature's infinite organizing power is for awareness to retreat to the source of creation. Returning to the source again and again causes changes in the nervous system that stabilize the presence of awareness with that eternal being. Eventually, permanent accommodation of divine being is established. Perception shifts so that awareness of the divine is never lost. This point comes directly from Vedic philosophy, not me personally. We have discussed how overwhelm accrues as stress in the nervous system and how that ultimately leads to illness. Even if the illness shows up in a system of the body different from the nervous system, or even if the problem is born of external circumstances, imbalances can be traced back to consciousness. Our nervous systems were designed to be the carriers of our consciousness. Almost any healing will echo back to the nervous system. There is a special kind of overwhelm that comes from feeling as if situations are impossible. There is a special kind of overwhelm that comes from facing the same problem extensively, like a marathon of overwhelm. This can lead to PTSD and also mental issues, anxiety, depression, and worse. Collective anger and frustration arise from many individuals within a given collective who are grappling with this type of overwhelm. So much compassion immediately starts to flow as soon as the seed is uncovered. Compassion is not weak. In this case, when dealing with anger, loss, grief, frustration, etc., compassion comes to soften the placement of boundaries that are necessary to funnel life back into alignment with your true heart's desire. Your true heart's desire is absolutely born of universal intention to evolve. This universal intention shows up in the life that you are leading now. The heart's desire itself is undergoing some purification. It is extremely close or even integrated with the sense of self or ego. So, movements or changes in the heart's desire feel as if they are targeting the most vulnerable, intimate part of oneself. If you are unfamiliar or unclear about this experience, its potential to help you could be hampered. No worries. The purpose of these healings is to help you work with the healing process rather than resist it. Clearing resistance to this level of healthy transformation individually and in the ancestral archive. A download is being received that reveals the details and mechanics of healing at the finest, most vulnerable level of one's sense of self. Times in the past when this particular vulnerable healing was at work for you are being awakened and marked as valuable. Fear of change is clearing for you and ancestors. Connections are being created between the feeling of this deep healing and the alleviation of suffering that followed. Clearing justifications for health improvements and life improvements that were based on falsehood. This goes particularly for times when you gave authority and power for your improved circumstances to someone other than your essential divine nature. The sense of self possesses more qualities than the quality-less source of creation. If there are any qualities at all, anything that you can pin down, then there is the potential for this part of oneself to evolve. The connection between sense of self and material form is so delicate. It needs to support self-knowledge as pure absolute being, while also accounting for the presence of the body bound by space and time. Establishing this supremely delicate relationship feels like deep consciousness healing. The nervous system naturally restructures itself moment by moment to accommodate the important relationship between who you truly are and the material reality of being human. This is such a miraculous relationship. It spans the vast spectrum from absolute silence to full physical reality. Softly, awareness is oscillating between these two fields of expression to gently create the condition that optimizes adaptations in the nervous system. These will stabilize this relationship henceforth. Thank you for being with me.